Welcome to Girl Choose Yourself, where we're trading self-doubt for self-trust and settling for soaring. I'm Emer Zone, your host, and together we're building the confidence to create lives so deliciously bold that they scare us a little, but in the best possible way. Because life's too precious to stay cozy in our comfort zones. It's time to choose ourselves for lives that are fabulous and soulfully fulfilling. So let's go. I grew up in a big family. I'm one of 7. And before you start imagining some sort of warm, chaotic, open door sort of household where the neighbours' kids spilled in and out, I'm just going to stop you right there. We were loved, deeply loved, but we didn't really host beyond family. Like friends didn't come over regularly, not in that easy, casual way that I noticed happening in other people's homes. And there were reasons, practical ones, logistical ones, but what I remember most isn't the reason. What I remember is the feeling. And that for me was a feeling of embarrassment, of not being able to reciprocate. There was no ease there. I'd get invited to a friend's house after school and there'd be snacks on the table and her mom asking if I wanted to stay for dinner. And I'd be thinking, I can't really have her back. I can't return this. And I watched those homes and I thought, someday I want my home to be like that. I want it to be warm, open, and a place where people really feel welcome and that they can come over and it's just easy. And fast forward 30 plus years and I made that. I would be the host. I would really often be the host. I'd be the one who organized the dinner, suggests the plan, books the restaurant, makes the big affair for the birthday, the gathering, or the Sunday lunch. And for a long time, I thought that that was just generosity. That was just who I am, a warm person, a connector, a welcoming person, a generous person, someone who loves bringing people together. And then one day, just doing some reflecting, I caught myself mid-thought. And the thought was, if I don't organize this, will I even be included? Oof. And that stopped me. Because that's not generosity then, is it? That is something else entirely. I want to talk today about the cost of being easy to be around. Not the obvious cost, not the burnout, though that is real, very real. Not the resentment, though that's also real. I want to talk about the deeper cost, the one that's really harder to name. And because it's harder to name, it's easier to carry indefinitely without ever really examining it. First, let me describe the woman that I'm talking about, and she might be you. She's certainly been me. She's the one who says yes first. Before anyone else has even considered it, she's already said yes. I'll handle this. I've got it. I can do that. She over-prepares. She over-delivers. She does not just show up. She shows up with the thing that nobody asked for but everybody appreciates, and she makes it look effortless. Because part of the deal is that it looks effortless. She volunteers for the organizing, the coordinating, the remembering, the following up. She keeps the group chat alive. She books the thing. She reminds everyone about the thing she booked. She is extraordinarily good at anticipating what other people need and meeting that need before they have even articulated it. In social situations, she's the one who smooths over the awkward silence. She reads the room. She makes sure that everyone feels comfortable. She has a finely tuned radar for discomfort in others and an almost automatic response to it. Fix it, ease it, make it better. She is, in every sense of the phrase, easy to be around. Very easy to be around. And people love her for it. They really appreciate her for it. They do. She gets told she's thoughtful, she's reliable, she's the glue. And she's all of those things. I'm not here to take that away from her. But what I do want to do is to ask, at what cost? And more importantly, where did she learn to be this way? Here's what I have come to understand about myself. That hosting, that over-delivering, the always organising, the making it a big affair, it isn't just warmth, it's control. And control, in this context, is a nervous system response. If I host, when I'm doing the arrangements, I set the terms. I decide who's coming. I create the environment. I determine the food, the atmosphere, the energy. I am not waiting to see if I will be included. I have made exclusion structurally impossible. I've built the room and I have put myself at the center of it. And that calms something in me, something old. Because the alternative, waiting for the invitation, still carries somewhere in my body the feeling of that child who couldn't reciprocate, didn't feel comfortable reciprocating, didn't think that was possible, who watched the doors of other people's homes and wondered if she'd be invited back, who learned young that belonging wasn't something you could take for granted. It had to be earned. It had to be deserved. And the best way to deserve it was to make yourself useful, indispensable, easy. This is the thing about the patterns that we carry from our childhood. They don't arrive in our adult lives with a label on them saying, this is a survival strategy. They arrive looking like personality traits, right? Like strengths, like just the way you are. So you could say, I'm a natural host. I love people. I'm a connector. All true. And also, I learned to make myself easy to be around because I was afraid that if I wasn't, I might not be chosen. Both things are true at once. And I think a lot of you listening might know exactly what I'm talking about. Not necessarily the hosting specifically, but the version of this that lives in your life. The way you show up in friendships, in work, in your family. The way you've made yourself indispensable in certain rooms. The way you over-deliver and then feel quietly hollow when nobody quite notices how much it costs you. The energy underneath all of that, if you're honest, has a flavor of like me, like me, like me. Not said out loud, never said out loud, but there, underneath the generosity, the warmth, underneath the perfectly prepared dinner, a kind of plea. So what does it cost? It costs you energy, the preparing, the anticipating, the managing. You know, it's exhausting in a way that's hard to explain because from the outside, it can look a whole lot like enthusiasm. It costs you presence. For example, when you're hosting, literally or metaphorically, you're never fully in the room. You're monitoring it, you're managing it, you're running the invisible algorithm of, is everyone okay? Is this working? Are they happy? Do they like me? It costs you authenticity in your relationships. Because when you're always in that type of host mode. You're performing a version of yourself, the capable, warm, sorted version. You're not letting people see the version that sometimes doesn't want to organize anything, that sometimes needs someone else to show up for her, that sometimes wants to just bloody well sit down in her own home and just be a guest. And here's the cost that I think is the deepest and the one we least want to look at. You never find out if people would show up for you because you never give them the chance. If you always organize the dinner or the outing, you'll never know if anyone would have organized it for you. If you're always volunteering first, you'll never see who else might have stepped up. If you always make it easy, always smooth the path, always fill the silence, always bring the thing, whatever that thing is that you always manage to think of that tips the gesture from good to extraordinary, you will never know what happens in the space where you didn't do all of that. And I think that uncertainty, that not knowing, is actually what drives the whole pattern. Because as long as you keep performing, you don't have to find out. You don't have to find out. That fear, it just stays theoretical. It never has to be inhabited, lived, experienced. I want to be really clear about something before we go any further. I'm not here to tell you to stop hosting or doing the thing, to stop being warm or generous or the one who pulls people together. The world really needs people like that. They need people like us. The world is better for people like us. What I'm inviting you to do is to get curious about the why. Because there is a version of hosting, of over-delivering, of making yourself easy to be around, that comes from genuine abundance, from a full cup, from real uncomplicated delight in other people, right? And there is a version that comes from fear, from a much older place, from a child who learned that belonging had conditions. The behavior looks identical from the outside, but it feels completely different on the inside. One leaves you energized, and the other leaves you quietly depleted and waiting for a recognition that never quite lands the way you need it to. In the work that I very often do with women and in my own life, I've come to think of this as the difference between acting from choice and acting from fear. When you're acting from a genuine choice, you host because you really want to. It's a real conscious choice. You could equally not host and feel fine about it. It's very much aligned with your values, and I've spoken about that before in other episodes. When you're acting from fear, the not hosting is not really an option. It's not an option because the fear of what might happen if you don't is running the show. So the question isn't, should I stop over-delivering? The question is, what am I afraid would happen if I didn't? What am I afraid of? Sit with that. Really sit with that. What's the fear underneath this pattern? And gently, curiously, without judgment, how old is it? How long has it been there? Because I'd be willing to bet that fear has a very young voice. That it learned what it learned a long time ago in circumstances that no longer apply. You're not that child. You don't need to earn your place in the room anymore. You are already welcome. I want to leave you with something practical this week. Just one thing, small but not easy. Find one place, where you have been perhaps volunteering to host, volunteering to be the easy one, the organized one, the one who makes the thing happen. Just one of those places. And just don't organize it. Don't fill the silence. Don't send the message suggesting the plan. Wait. See what happens. See who steps in. See what it brings up in you, because that discomfort is data. Make no mistake, it will tell you exactly how much of what you've been doing has been about fear and how much has been about genuine, conscious choice. You do not have to do this everywhere, just one place, one experiment this week. And if it turns out that nobody organizes the dinner, maybe that's also information. That's noteworthy. It's not about your worth, but about whether that particular table is serving you. Choosing yourself sometimes looks really dramatic, right? In those big decisions, the hard conversation, that leap, that brave leap into a new chapter and something new. But sometimes it looks like not sending the text, not making the reservation, not being the one who makes it easy, and finding out, maybe for the first time, that you are still completely wanted in the room. Before I go, I always close when I'm doing a guest episode by asking the guest this question, but today I'm asking you, what does choosing yourself mean to you? I mean that. Send me a message, leave a review, find me on Instagram. I genuinely want to know your answer. And if today's episode resonated, if you recognized yourself in the woman who always hosts, always volunteers, who makes herself easy to be around, you may very much like the Elegant No, the short audio course that I created that gives you a practical framework and the actual scripts to start showing up differently. Not harshly, not coldly, just honestly, authentically. And you can find it in the show notes. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself this week. You're amazing. See you next time. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning into the episode this week. I hope you got a lot out of it, and if you did, please share it with somebody who you feel would benefit. And leave a review. Always greatly appreciated. Lots of free and paid resources to take things a step further. You can find those in the show notes. And hey, if nobody has told you this yet today, you are amazing, and the world is a far more beautiful place because you're here with us all. Stay cool. Bye.